Hi, this is Sharon Massey, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator at Stamp Side by Side. I just fell in love with this card. There are many versions of it on Uline. This just is my version of it. And I particularly wanted to show you how to ink the Woodlands embossing folder that you're going to be using with a brayer that makes things so extremely easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the paper that you're going to need, and then as I go through and do the video, I'll actually show you the other items that we're going to use. So you're going to need to start out with a piece of soft suede cardstock. This cardstock measures 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored at 4 1/4. So this is going to be your card base. So we're just going to fold that and then set it aside. You are also going to need a piece of Whisper White for the outside, and the piece that I have right here measures 5 1/4 by 4, so that'll be for the outside panel. The inside panel is going to use one that I cut at 5 by 3 3/4, and that'll be the inside panel. You're going to need 2 pieces of crumb cake, which is what you're going to punch, or rather cut out these leaves with. Now I'm going to tell you right now which set that I used to stamp those leaves. This is Colorful Seasons, and we're going to be using this image right here. I'm going to use the small image for the inside. So those are the 2 images I'll use from that. And then there is a thinlet set that coordinates with this, and it's called Seasonal Layers. And I'm going to be using this particular thinlet to cut out the leaves once they've been stamped. So you're also going to need some scrap cardstock for the white leaf, and that's what this is right here. I could actually get a couple out of this particular piece. And then you're going to need a piece that measures at least 1 inch by 3 inches. Originally, I used retired stamped this and punches. This was the Teeny Weeny Wishes, and this was the Word Punch and the Modern Label Punch, I believe, is it? And these are no longer available. So I'm going to show you something else with the current items that are in the 2018 catalog. So those are the pieces that you're going to need. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set all of it aside except for this piece right here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my soft suede ink, and I'm going to pull it over here. And I'm also going to use a large silicone mat. Stampin' Up! Sells smaller ones, and they're great. I use the smaller ones all the time. This particular one, though, I like to use anytime I'm brayering anything. I like to make sure I've got that. And I'm going to use this Woodlands, turn around where you can see it, the Woodlands embossing folder. So that's what I'm going to use. Now what we're going to do, instead of sponging the ink onto this surface, and what we're going to do, see where it says Sizzix right here in Stampin' Up, you're going to flip it open, and that's the side that you're going to want to ink up. So what I'm going to do instead of sponging is using a brayer, because it gives me a much more consistent look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going down and lifting. Don't go back and forth, because then you get lines and you won't get complete coverage on your roller, which means you won't get complete coverage over on your embossing folder. So you just ink it up, and then all you're going to do is you're just going to go down here, just wherever you want it. Now once you're down, you can do this. You can add more, and I'm going to go back in, and I want to add some ink right there. And we're going to call that good and see what kind of result. I may, once I look at it, decide I want to do it differently. And then you've got to decide where you're going to line these up. So I think what I'd like to do is put it here, and I'm going to try to get it straight. Sometimes I get them crooked, and I'm going to mash it down. I'm going to take this over to my to my Big Shot and emboss it, and then I'll be right back. So I took, and I don't know where my phone just went off while it was going, and the video turned off, so we'll see. I was saying that this piece of paper was stamped in crumb cake, and then the the soft suede I stamped in the white craft ink, the Whisper White craft ink, which is in the catalog. And now what I want to do is I want to sponge the edges of those. And so I'm going to grab my sponger. This is my little dauber. And I'm going to bring the, excuse me, bring this ink back in. And all I'm going to do is go in and just, I want to darken up the tips of these leaves. I'm going to do this to both the crumb cake leaves as well as the Whisper White that has the crumb cake ink. So just want to get those edges nice and inked. So I'm going to turn the camera off while I do this so I don't waste your time, and when I'm through, I'll be right back. Okay, while I had the camera off, I did several things. One is that I did take the dauber and daub around the rest of the leaves, so they've all been inked up a little bit. I took the Pleasant Pheasants stamp set and I took the Happy Thanksgiving sentiment and I stamped it, and then I cut it out with this die, and this die comes from the Petal and More Thinlits, and that's how I got this. Once I stamped it, I ran it through the Big Shot machine. And then for the inside of the card, I also used Pleasant Pheasants, and what I used was this for these two images, and then the sentiment on the inside. And it's such a lovely sentiment. It says, wishing you health, happiness, and the riches of God's bounty during this season and always. That's actually what I wish for all of you that are watching this. I think that's just such a pretty sentiment. And so now we're going to go on and finish putting the card together. So I'm just going to go on and put some snail to put this on the inside of the card. And we'll just grab it and center it. Like that. And now we will take the two beige cards and decide where we want to place them. I mean, not cards, leaves. We're going to take the two leaves, and I think maybe something like that is what I'll do. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to kind of keep my finger there. And again, I'm just going to use the snail and kind of put it, I think, like this. And then put this one, overlap it a little bit. Maybe like this. Let's see if that's going to give me, I may have to pull them down. They may be up too high. I think I want to pull them down just a little bit. That's too high. So we'll go back down here, rub it down. And always when you're gluing, don't really mash until you're certain where your placement is where you really want it when you're laying these things down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dimensional and pop this leaf up on top. So grab one of those. Maybe I'll grab two. I'm going to grab another one. And I'll just pop those up. And then all I have to do is I am going to, and I should have done this while I was doing everything else, I'm going to pull my ink back in here because I do want to, maybe I have enough ink left, let's see. I do want to go around the edges of this just to help frame it a little bit. I think that would look better than that stark white on there. So, and it's so easy to do this. So, and now I'm just going to glue that down. Whoops, get it right side up, that would help. And put it here. And now all I have to do is add my little pearls, and I'll pull my pearls in and my craft knife, and I'm just going to drop some little bitty pearls, I think maybe this size, in here. Put one there, grab another one, put one there, and then maybe a little larger one up here. If you get them too large and you're going to put them through the mail, you need to, even with these, you need to put like another piece of scrap paper over it so these don't get caught in the machine when it's going through the mailing process. And there's your card. I do think it's fun. This one's different than the first one. It's a lot darker. So you may want to use a lighter ink. And it's very interesting because both of these were soft suede backgrounds, but this one you can see I inked up a lot heavier. That's because I actually re-inked my pad. So I might have liked the drier pad a little bit better. So, but anyway, so that is the Thanksgiving card that I've made, and I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I hope you have a blessed, even though it's a ways off, a blessed holiday season coming up. It's not too far off. And be sure that you stop by www.stampsidebyside.com. Remember, there's a monthly drawing for everybody who is subscribed to my blog at that particular website. So go there. There are other videos. If I've shown you something that you or told you to do something and you don't really know how to do it, just email me and I'll be glad to go over it with you or even make a video just for you. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.